Guess what came early? And if you said you did, punch yourself in the face. That was just inappropriate. It's a good thing they asked me to. It's a good thing they asked me to check that little box. Do you make videos for kids? The answer is no. Anyway, the motor is here. It was supposed to be here next month, but it got here early. Yay! Happy New Year's for everyone. So I wanted to do a quick little unboxing. We're going to do this kind of right quick. It actually got here yesterday, but I didn't have a chance to deal with it yesterday. So this is the whole packaging. Oh no, what's the best way? I guess you go in that way. Let's go for it. We're discovering things together. Should we look at the packing slip? Does anybody look at the packing slip? Yeah, the hell with the packing slip. Alright, there's a box within a box. It's like a play within a play. And there's some foam in there. You can see it, whatever. That was not a sound effect. That really happened. Alright. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, wait, looks. They gave me a mangled sticker. TP Power brushless motor. I have nothing to say to that. Oh, here it is. Behold. Well, it looks right. Let's take this thing out. Okay, it's a little bit... Welcome. Link my Facebook. Probably not. Oh, now we're talking. That seems... I guess it works. Whatever. It seems weird. Alright, so here it is. 970 kV. We're going to be running it at 50 volts. So it should hit pretty close to 50,000 RPM. Maybe 47,000. These cables are just... They're tinned. Not particularly well, but at least these cables actually feel like they're copper. As opposed to the cheapy one I have. Oh, I wanted to point something out. Where's that box? I threw the box away. I actually feel slightly better about this because it came from Hong Kong as opposed to mainland China. Mainland China, as we know, is not a friend. The people in Hong Kong are fighting mainland, whatever, protests, Google, look it up. All right, back to this. So, ooh, the shaft feels very stiff, like as in not turning. That's not good. That feels... I mean, this thing is huge, no doubt. Let me give you a point of reference. Let's see if I can fit these both in. So, yeah, this little guy, this drew 36 amps, whatever. This thing is humongous in comparison. It's massive in every dimension. Even the cables are considerably heavier, and these cables are no joke. But I'm a little concerned. The shaft is not turning. I should be able to spin this by hand. It feels bound up. I don't really want to do this, but these pliers are soft and the shaft should be hard stainless. Oh, it does turn. Is that the magnets doing that? Jeez. I mean, that's basically the rotor doesn't have any windings. The windings are in the outside of the case. But, man, that's insane. I can't even turn it with my hands. Well, you know what this means. This means we're going to have to put power to it and see if she'll spin. But that's crazy. It takes a pair of pliers to turn this thing. I mean, it's turning freely when I do this. It feels like it's bouncing between the poles. But that's nuts. Let's get the other thing out. Let's check this. So this one Let's see if I can. Basically does the same thing. It like clicks over between poles. Between poles. That's too easy. I'm not doing it. Not doing it. That could have been either sexual or ethnic. I'm not going to either one of those. Like I said, too easy. I have standards. All right, let's get back to this monstrosity. Sweet Jesus. Let me grab my caliper. All right, I'm back. All right, let's set this thing to millimeters because, well, it's Chinese and metric. So this should be an 8mm shaft. You can see there's a flat round into it. And it's actually, interestingly, just a touch undersized. Well, that could also be this janky thing. $7.99, $7.98. You know what? Heck with Harbor Freight. Let's get the real stuff. Ah, yes, brown and sharp. And this is metric, actually. So anyway, so this shaft is supposed to be about 8mm. Let's find a happy place on said shaft. And it is exactly 1/100th of a millimeter undersized. That's good to know for when we're machining this thing, which never leaves this desk for some reason, at least not until we're done with the garage. By the way, you know you're serious about garage work when you buy a label maker. I'm labeling everything in the garage. This thing's pretty cool. Get one if you don't. It was like 25 bucks or something on Amazon. First world solutions and problems. There it is. Anyway, back to the fun stuff. So this is TP Power's Biggin. It's not the biggest one they make. The biggest one they make is, I believe it's like less than a millimeter larger in diameter, and it's about, I don't know, something like 10 millimeters longer. The reason I didn't go with that one, as I've said before, is simply because it just doesn't have the RPM limit that this one does. This one's 50,000. The other one is 40,000. And since Vortex compressor maps basically end at 50,000, hey, this should let us walk all over it. So again, this thing is basically rated at 50 volts and 300 amps, which is over 20 horsepower peak. That kind of blows my mind. I mean, this thing it's got some mass to it, I'll tell you that. It's not light. Well, let's try to power this up with the other ESC, although something tells me that little, whatever that ESC is rated at, I think it's like 60 or 80 amps. Something tells me it's not even going to make this thing spin. But I will figure out some way to connect it, and we will give it a shot. All right, so I hooked this up as best as I could. It's actually pretty janky, to use a Shannon Poole word. Anyway, so this is the 4-cell pack. This is that crappy little Chinese ESC that we're using for the Volkswagen turbo evac pump thing. See if we can get this thing to turn. It's trying to. Oh, I bet one of these connectors is loose because they're not exactly the right size. There we go. That's all she's going to give us, I think. Let me go ahead and see if I can find my ammeter, which is right here. Let's see what kind of current draw we're seeing. Clampy, clampy. Let's set to DC, zero it out. I think the safest bet is going to be around here if I can sneak the clamp in there. All right. It sounds like it lost connection there. Yeah, 5 amps. It's all we can get out of this pack. Which makes me wonder, what about voltage drop? Yeah, that's always creepy when it starts going on its own. I don't know if I have a good way of doing this. At least a safe way. So currently that pack is at 15.8 volts. So it's pretty well charged. It's just this is clearly not enough voltage, but we know the motor spins. In theory, at 15 volts, it should be spinning close to 15,000 RPM. That doesn't sound like 15,000 RPM. But also, we don't know if this crappy ESC is giving us max speed. Oh, there we go. Now it's up to 6.2 amps, but then, of course, it disconnects here. So anyway, so motor spins, motor works. It's freaking massive. The cable size is, you know what, it'd probably be safer if I shut this off before things catch fire. It takes a second. There we go. All right, so let's go on this. So cable size is, outside diameter on this is 5.2 millimeters. That's with insulation, which doesn't mean a whole heck of a lot. We're curious as to what the gauge is here, and now you're about to see why it was so questionable. If I can take this gaffer's tape off, that is. Is literally all I was doing was just letting these touch under the tape, which is not a good idea, but hey, we had to know, didn't we? So here we go. So the wire diameter cross section is roughly 4. Let's call it an average of 4.4. Let's be pessimistic. So whatever gauge that works out to be. And of course, there's 3 of them. So I got to figure out how you're supposed to connect this. Of course, we can just toss some brass in the lathe and make connectors if we needed to. But whatever. So here it is. Happy New Year to one and all. It spins. It works. This is just mind-blowing to me that I can't turn it by hand. That's incredible. The magnets in there have to be monstrous. Anyway, Happy New Year to all, and stay tuned. Finishing the garage. We're going to get this thing to work now that it's here. I like it. It's shiny and black.